Have you ever felt like you were running a race with no finish line? You are told that happiness is the prize, the ultimate goal waiting for you just around the next corner. So you run faster, you push harder, you chase after that promotion, that relationship, that one thing you believe will finally make it all worthwhile. Yet so often when you arrive, you find the corner is empty. The feeling is fleeting, a ghost that vanishes the moment you try to hold it. This is the great paradox of modern life. We are surrounded by more opportunities for pleasure and comfort than any generation in history, yet a deep sense of dissatisfaction seems to linger just beneath the surface. It's a quiet ache, a feeling that something fundamental is missing from the equation. We treat happiness like an object to be acquired, a commodity to be consumed. But what if we've been looking at the problem all wrong? What if happiness isn't a destination to be reached, but a quality of the journey itself? What if it's not something you find out there, but something you build in here? This is not a new question. Over 2,000 years ago, a Greek philosopher wrestled with this exact same problem, and his answer changes everything. He saw that most people were caught in a trap, a chase that could never be won. Imagine that inside of you there is a space, a chamber. Let's call it your soul's resonant chamber. Every event in your life, every interaction, every challenge is like a single note being played. When your chamber is empty, unfinished, and untuned, those notes just pass through. They create a dull, muted thud. A moment of joy is a brief, weak sound that dies instantly. A moment of pain is a jarring noise that echoes badly off the cracked walls. There is no richness, no depth, no lasting music. So we feel this emptiness, this lack of resonance, and we make a logical but flawed assumption. We think the problem is the notes. We think we need better, louder, more exciting notes from the outside world. We believe a symphony of success or a crescendo of praise will force our inner world to feel alive. We start a desperate hunt for more intense experiences, believing that a powerful enough external event will finally make us feel whole inside. This is the beginning of the trap. The world becomes a marketplace of distraction. We scroll through feeds, searching for a hit of validation. We binge on entertainment, hoping to silence the quiet hum of dissatisfaction. We pursue wealth and status, believing that a mountain of gold will surely echo with the sound of happiness. Each of these things is a note we try to capture and force into our lives. But we are focusing on the fleeting vibration, not the instrument that gives it meaning. Consider the feeling after a short-lived thrill. The excitement of a new purchase fades, leaving you with just an object. The high of 100 likes on a photo disappears, leaving you wanting more. The pleasure of a sugary snack is gone in an instant. These are the weak, muted sounds bouncing around an empty chamber. They make noise for a moment, but they don't create music. They are echoes of pleasure, not the deep resonance of fulfillment. This endless chase is exhausting. It keeps us focused on the next thing, and the next, and the next. We live in a state of perpetual almost, always believing that true contentment is just over the horizon. We become spectators in our own lives, waiting for the perfect external conditions to grant us permission to feel happy. We are waiting for a world that will play us a perfect song, without ever realizing that we are meant to be the instrument. The core question then becomes unavoidable, a question that stops us in our tracks. Why does this strategy, the one followed by so many people, the one our culture promotes relentlessly, fail so profoundly? Why does chasing happiness seem to be the most effective way to ensure you never truly catch it? The answer lies in a fundamental misunderstanding of what happiness actually is. We have mistaken the flash of lightning for the warm, steady glow of the sun. And so we find ourselves at a crossroads. We can continue the chase, running on that endless treadmill, or we can dare to stop. We can dare to ask if there is another way. Is it possible to step off this path of constant seeking and instead begin a journey of cultivation? Is it possible to build a life that doesn't just experience fleeting moments of pleasure, but one that resonates with a deep and abiding sense of well-being, regardless of the external noise? The most common trap is believing that happiness is an additive process. Our thinking goes, if I am unhappy, it must be because I lack something. So we begin the great project of accumulation. We try to fill our inner emptiness with external things. We believe that if we can just stuff enough success, enough possessions, enough praise into that hollow space within us, it will eventually become full. We treat our soul like a storage unit. Let's look at this through the lens of our metaphor. What happens when you clutter a resonant chamber? You deaden it. Imagine a finely crafted guitar. If you stuff it full of cotton or coins or sand, you choke its ability to vibrate. The strings might be plucked perfectly, but the body of the instrument can no longer amplify the sound. The more you add, the less music it can make. Our relentless pursuit of external things often has the same effect on our inner world. Think of the person who works tirelessly for a promotion. They sacrifice their health, their relationships, their peace of mind. They are stuffing career success into their chamber. When they finally get the new title, there might be a brief, loud note of victory. But because they have cluttered their inner world with stress and neglect, the note quickly dies. The chamber is too full of other things, exhaustion, loneliness, anxiety, to let the sound of achievement resonate. Or consider the person who bases their self-worth on the approval of others. Each like, each compliment, each word of praise is a small, glittering object they try to place inside their chamber. But this foundation is built on sand. The moment the praise stops, the objects turn to dust. Their inner state is completely dependent on a constant, unstable supply from the outside world. The chamber isn't being built, it's just being decorated with things that can be swept away in an instant. This is why "if only I had X, I would be happy" is the most dangerous lie we tell ourselves. It outsources our well-being. It makes us passive recipients rather than active creators of our own life's quality. This approach promises a shortcut but delivers a dead end. It's a strategy of filling, not a strategy of building. It focuses on the decorations, not the architecture. And a decorated shed will never have the grandeur of a well-built cathedral. The result of this flawed strategy is a fragile sense of self. Our happiness becomes conditional, brittle. It shatters with the first piece of criticism, the first career setback, the first moment we are alone with our own thoughts without distraction. When we try to fill our chamber with external things, we are actually making it weaker, more susceptible to the inevitable bumps and scrapes of life. We are creating a dependency, not a strength. So we double down. If $1 million didn't bring lasting joy, maybe 10 million will. If one success didn't fill the void, maybe a bigger one is needed. This is the logic of addiction. We are always chasing a bigger hit to get the same fleeting feeling. The problem isn't the sincerity of our desire for happiness. The problem is the complete misidentification of its source. We are digging for water in a desert, and our solution is just to dig faster. The truth is, nothing external can permanently alter your internal state. External events are just weather. Some days are sunny, some are stormy. If your house is poorly built, a storm will terrify you, and a sunny day will only be a temporary relief. But if your house is built with strength and integrity, you can find peace and shelter in the storm, and you can fully appreciate the sun when it shines. The common trap is to try and control the weather instead of building a better house. This flawed approach is not a personal failure, it's a cultural script we are handed. From a young age, we are taught to measure our lives by what we have, not who we are. We are taught to present a polished exterior, to curate a life that looks good from the outside. The entire modern world is an engine designed to make you believe that the next thing you buy, watch, or achieve will be the answer. It sells you the notes and tells you to forget about the instrument. So we arrive at this critical realization. The strategy of chasing and filling is fundamentally broken. It leads to a life of frantic, exhausting effort with diminishing returns. It makes us fragile, dependent, and perpetually unsatisfied. It is the single biggest reason why so many people, despite having so much, never find the deep, abiding happiness they seek. They are trying to solve an internal problem with an external solution. The great tragedy is that the potential for profound happiness is already within us. The chamber is there. It is our birthright. We are born with the capacity to build an inner life of immense richness and beauty, but we ignore the blueprints and the tools we are given. Instead, we spend our lives collecting furniture for a house that hasn't been built yet, wondering why we still feel so exposed to the wind. This path mistakes pleasure for happiness. Pleasure is a sensation, an event. It's the sweetness of the fruit. Happiness, or what the Greeks called eudaimonia, is not a sensation. It is a state of being. It's the health of the tree that bears the fruit. You can import all the fruit you want, but if your own tree is sick, you will never know the security of being able to grow your own. Chasing pleasure is focusing on the fruit, not the tree. So what does this cluttered, fragile, and noisy inner world feel like? It feels like anxiety. It feels like you're constantly on edge, needing to protect what you have and strive for what you don't. It feels like envy when you see others who seem to have more. It feels like a quiet desperation when the distractions fade and you're left alone with the silence. This is the sound of a cluttered chamber, a constant, low-grade, discordant hum. This is the moment of choice, to see the trap for what it is, to recognize that the path of accumulation has led you astray. It is a painful realization, but it is also an incredibly hopeful one. Because the moment you stop trying to solve the problem with the wrong tools, you create the space to discover the right ones. The moment you stop trying to fill the chamber, you can finally begin the real work, the work of building it. This is where we turn to one of history's greatest guides. Aristotle was not just a thinker, he was a profound observer of the human condition. He saw this trap clearly over 2 millennia ago. He saw people chasing honor, wealth, and pleasure, and he saw their ultimate dissatisfaction. His solution was not a quick fix or a simple trick. It was a revolutionary pivot in perspective, a shift from the outside world to the inner one. Aristotle enters our story not as a distant historical figure, but as a master craftsman. Imagine a luthier, a maker of fine instruments, walking into a room full of people trying to make music by banging on cheap drums. He doesn't tell them to bang harder. He quiets the room, picks up a rough block of wood, and reveals a different path. He understood that the quality of the music depends on the quality of the instrument. His great pivot, the turning point of our entire story, is this. He would say, stop focusing on the notes. Stop trying to find the perfect song out there in the world. The secret to a good life, to true and lasting happiness, is not about what happens to you. It is about what your soul can do with what happens to you. The work is not external. The work is internal. This leads us to the central thesis, the revolutionary idea that can change everything. True, lasting happiness is not a feeling you chase, but the natural resonance of a well-lived life. It is the sound a well-crafted soul makes. It is not the goal, it is the byproduct. It is the beautiful hum that emanates from an instrument that has been built with care, precision, and love. The focus shifts from getting to becoming. So what does this mean in practice? It means we must become craftsmen of our own inner world. Our life is the wood. Our choices are the tools. The task is to take the raw material of our character and shape it, sand it, and tune it. The goal is to transform that hollow, dusty box inside of us into a magnificent resonant chamber, capable of turning the simple, everyday notes of life into something beautiful and profound. This is a radical departure from the common trap. We are no longer stuffing our chamber with external junk. Instead, we are emptying it out. We are clearing away the clutter of anxiety, envy, and distraction. We are creating a clean, open space. The first step in building something beautiful is to clear the ground. This act of simplification, of letting go, is the beginning of true strength. Aristotle called this process the cultivation of virtue. That word might sound old-fashioned, but the idea is timeless and simple. A virtue is simply a quality of good character. It is a habit of excellence. Think of it as a principle of good instrument design. A virtue is a way of shaping your chamber that allows it to resonate more clearly, more deeply, and more beautifully. It is the art of tuning your soul. This changes our relationship with life's challenges. A difficult situation is no longer just a painful event to be endured. It is an opportunity. It is a chance to work on the chamber. A moment that requires courage is a chance to reinforce a weak wall. A moment that requires patience is a chance to sand down a rough edge. Life's struggles become the very forge where we craft our own well-being. Happiness in this new framework is not about feeling good all the time. A life with no challenges would be like an instrument that is never played. It might be in perfect condition, but it is silent and useless. True well-being includes the ability to handle difficulty with grace and strength. It's about having an inner core so solid and well-constructed that you can find meaning even in struggle. The resonance can be somber and deep, but it is still music. The great liberation of this idea is that it puts you back in control. You cannot control the world. You cannot control what notes life will play for you. Some will be high and joyful, some will be low and sad. But you can control the quality of your instrument. You can decide every single day to do the work of building your character. Your happiness is no longer a fragile thing at the mercy of fate. It becomes a resilient fortress you build yourself, one choice at a time. This is the essence of what Aristotle called eudaimonia. It's often translated as happiness, but a better word is flourishing. It's the state of a plant that is healthy, strong, and growing to its full potential. It's not just about feeling good, it's about being good in the sense of a good knife or a good eye. It is functioning at your best, living in a way that is aligned with your deepest human potential. So we have pivoted. We have turned away from the endless external chase. We have looked inward. We have understood that happiness is not found but forged. We have our raw material, our character, and we have our tools, our choices. The question now is, how do we begin? How do we actually do the work? Aristotle gives us a practical map, a guide to the specific virtues we can cultivate to build our resonant chamber. This journey is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming a craftsman. A good craftsman knows their material, respects their tools, and finds deep satisfaction in the process of creation itself. They are not obsessed with the final product. They are in love with the work. Our path to happiness is the same. We must fall in love with the process of building a good character. This work is quiet. It's not flashy. It doesn't get you a million likes. It's the small, unseen choices you make every day. The choice to be honest when it's hard. The choice to be brave when you're scared. The choice to be kind when you're angry. Each of these choices is a tap of the chisel, a stroke of the sandpaper, slowly shaping the chamber within. The promise of this path is not a life free of pain. It is a life full of meaning. It promises that no matter what notes life plays for you, notes of sorrow, of joy, of challenge, of boredom, you will have an inner instrument so well made that it can turn all of it into music. A life that doesn't just sound good, but one that is good. Now let us open the toolbox. Let us illuminate the core principles of this inner craftsmanship. We will explore the key virtues that Aristotle identified, not as abstract rules, but as practical techniques for building your own resonant chamber, for tuning your own soul so that it can't help but sing. Let's begin with courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. A person who feels no fear is not courageous. They are reckless. Courage, Aristotle taught, is feeling the fear and acting anyway. It is the virtue that sits in the middle between the extremes of cowardice and recklessness. It's about assessing a risk and choosing to face it for a worthy reason. In our metaphor, courage is the act of reinforcing the walls of your resonant chamber. Fear is a vibration that can crack the wood. Cowardice is letting the cracks spread. Recklessness is ignoring the cracks entirely. Courage is seeing a hairline fracture, a moment of fear, and using your will to carefully and strongly brace it, making the chamber even stronger than it was before. Every act of courage strengthens your soul's ability to withstand shock. This isn't just about battlefield heroics. It's the courage to have a difficult conversation, the courage to be vulnerable and admit you were wrong, the courage to start a new project you might fail at, the courage to stand up for what is right. Each time you choose the courageous path, you are mixing a stronger glue, driving a stronger nail, and fortifying your inner structure. Next, let us consider temperance or self-control. This virtue is deeply misunderstood today, often seen as boring or restrictive. But for Aristotle, it was a source of freedom. Temperance is the ability to moderate your appetites and desires. It's the middle ground between self-denial, where you starve your senses, and overindulgence, where you are a slave to them. In our chamber, Temperance is the act of sanding and polishing the wood. Uncontrolled desires are like splinters and rough patches on the inner surface. They catch the sound waves, creating distortion and jarring noise. A moment of pleasure, when overindulged, becomes a source of inner chaos. Temperance is the slow, patient work of smoothing these surfaces so that the vibrations of life can flow over them without snagging, creating a pure and clear tone. Practicing temperance means choosing the single piece of cake that you can savor, rather than the whole cake that makes you sick. It's enjoying a glass of wine without needing the whole bottle. It's turning off the screen when you know it's time for bed. It's not about punishment. It's about preserving your capacity for enjoyment. A dulled palate cannot taste the nuance. A soul exhausted by overstimulation cannot feel subtle joy. Then there is the virtue of justice. This is not just about laws and courts. For Aristotle, justice on a personal level is about fairness and rightness in our relationships with others. It's about giving people what they are due, whether it's respect, gratitude, or a fair share. It is the virtue that governs our connection to the community, to the whole. In building our chamber, justice is the principle of symmetry and balance. An unjust person has a lopsided, imbalanced chamber. Their inner world is warped by selfishness or resentment. It cannot resonate harmoniously because it is fundamentally out of tune with reality. Justice is the act of ensuring your chamber is perfectly proportioned, that your relationship with yourself is in balance with your relationship to the world. A just soul is a balanced one. A daily act of justice might be giving credit where it's due. It could be listening fully to someone else's perspective, even when you disagree. It could be as simple as paying a fair price for good work. Each act of fairness aligns your inner world with the outer world. It tunes your personal instrument to the key of the human orchestra, allowing you to play in harmony with others. These virtues, courage, temperance, justice, are powerful, but they are useless without the master virtue that ties them all together, practical wisdom, or what Aristotle called phronses. This is not book smarts or abstract knowledge. It is the wisdom of the craftsman. It is knowing how to apply the right tool in the right way at the right time. Practical wisdom is the knowledge of how to find the middle ground. It's the wisdom to know when a situation calls for courage and not recklessness. It's the wisdom to know when to be generous and when to be firm. It's the how-to knowledge of living a good life. Without it, our attempts at virtue can be clumsy and ineffective. It is the master art of human flourishing. In our metaphor, practical wisdom is the overall design of the chamber. It is the blueprint. It is the luthier's deep understanding of acoustics and wood. It's what allows the craftsman to carve the intricate patterns and shapes into the chamber's walls that give it its unique, signature tone. Courage reinforces the walls, temperance smooths them, but wisdom designs the shape that creates the most beautiful resonance. How do we cultivate this wisdom? Not by reading, but by doing. It grows through experience, reflection, and learning from our mistakes. You try to be brave and perhaps you are reckless. You reflect on it. You understand the situation better. Next time, your action is more refined. Practical wisdom is built layer by layer through the trial and error of trying to live a good life. It is learned on the job. Generosity is another key virtue, a form of justice. It's the habit of giving of your time, your resources, or your attention without expecting anything in return. The selfish person hoards their resources, creating a cramped, stagnant chamber. The generous person creates flow. Their chamber is an open system, constantly giving and receiving, which keeps the energy within it fresh and vibrant. Honesty, too, is a crucial element of a well-built soul. Deceit creates a complex inner world of lies that must be maintained. It's like having a chamber full of hidden, mismatched panels that rattle and buzz, creating constant discord. Honesty simplifies. It makes your inner world and your outer world one and the same. It creates a chamber of pure, clear material without hidden flaws, allowing for the purest resonance. Visual prompt, a cross-section of a resonant chamber. And what about friendship? For Aristotle, friendship was not a casual accessory to life. It was an essential component of human flourishing. True friends are like external mirrors. They help us see ourselves more clearly. They challenge us to be better. They are the fellow musicians who can hear our tone and tell us when we are sharp or flat. Cultivating deep friendships is part of tuning our instrument. All of this work, cultivating courage, temperance, justice, wisdom, is not a checklist to be completed. It is a continuous practice, like a musician practicing their scales every day. You don't do it to get to the end. You do it for the love of the music. The practice itself is what changes you. The daily choices, repeated over time, slowly and surely transform the very substance of your being. This path requires patience. You will not build a Stradivarius overnight. There will be days when your craftsmanship is clumsy. You will make mistakes. You will act out of cowardice or indulgence. The key is to see these not as failures, but as information. They are simply showing you which part of the chamber needs more work. The craftsman does not throw away the wood after a slip of the chisel. They adjust their technique and continue. Over time, something remarkable begins to happen. As you practice these virtues, they become second nature. They become your habits. You no longer have to consciously decide to be honest. You just are. You no longer have to force yourself to be brave. It becomes your natural response. The virtues become integrated into your character. The craftsman no longer needs the blueprint. The wisdom is in their hands. The focus shifts from the abstract virtue to the concrete action. You stop asking, "How can I be courageous?" And you start asking, "What is the brave and right thing to do in this specific situation?" Wisdom guides your hand. You are no longer just following rules. You are embodying a way of being. You are no longer just building a chamber. You have become the well-built chamber. And as the chamber becomes more refined, more fortified, more beautifully shaped, its resonant properties change. The same notes from life that used to produce a dull thud or a jarring clang now begin to create something new. A simple moment of connection with a friend, the satisfaction of a job well done, the quiet beauty of a sunset. These small, everyday notes land in the chamber and are amplified into rich, warm, and lasting tones. This is the happiness Aristotle spoke of. It's not a loud, screaming excitement. It is a deep, quiet, and stable sense of well-being. It is the peace that comes from having a well-ordered soul. It is the quiet confidence of the strong house in a storm. It is the satisfaction of the craftsman looking at their finished work. It is the joy of being fully and vibrantly alive. Crucially, this kind of happiness is not dependent on good fortune. The person with the well-built chamber can endure loss, failure, and pain. These experiences are low, somber notes to be sure, but the well-made instrument can even turn these notes into profound, meaningful music. It might be a tragic opera, but it is opera nonetheless. It is meaningful. The cluttered, broken chamber, by contrast, just shatters. Think of it this way. The person who chases pleasure is like someone who can only enjoy the highest, sweetest notes on a piano. Their range of enjoyable life experience is very narrow. The person who cultivates virtue is like a master pianist who can find beauty and meaning across the entire keyboard, from the lowest bass notes of sorrow to the highest treble of joy. Their capacity for a rich life is immensely greater. This inner work is the ultimate act of self-reliance. It frees you from needing the world to be a certain way for you to be okay. It frees you from the desperate need for approval, from the gnawing fear of missing out, from the endless hunger for more. You have built the source of your well-being within yourself. You carry your home on your back like a snail. You are at peace wherever you are. Aristotle would argue that this is our purpose, our telos. Just as the purpose of an acorn is to become an oak tree, the purpose of a human being is to become a flourishing human being. Our purpose is not something we must find hiding under a rock. It is the act of engaging in this process of self-cultivation. The purpose of life is to live a life of practiced excellence. So the reason most people never find true happiness is that they are digging in the wrong mine. They are searching for it externally in the world of things and events. But the gold is not in the mountain. The gold is the quality of the tools you use to dig. The happiness is in the strength and skill of the miner, not in the rock. This is a lifelong project. It is not a 10-step plan to instant bliss. It is the slow, steady, and deeply rewarding work of a lifetime. It is the grandest creative project you will ever undertake, the creation of a good self. And the beauty of it is that the joy is not deferred to the end. The satisfaction is found in every single mindful act of craftsmanship along the way. The happiness that comes from this is not fragile. It cannot be taken from you. Your job, your money, your reputation can all be lost, but your character, the well-built chamber you have forged through your choices, is yours forever. It is the only possession that is truly secure. This is the bedrock on which a stable and meaningful life is built. So we see the whole picture. The common trap is the frantic chase for external notes. The pivot is the realization that we must build the instrument. The illumination is the understanding that we build it through the daily practice of virtues, guided by wisdom. We strengthen it with courage, smooth it with temperance, and balance it with justice. And every choice matters. The choice to tell a small truth, the choice to show a small kindness, the choice to face a small fear. These are the atoms that build the mountain. They seem insignificant on their own, but compounded over a lifetime, they create a character of immense strength and beauty. They are the thousands of tiny, careful taps that shape the masterpiece. This path is available to everyone, regardless of their circumstances. It does not require wealth or status or luck. It requires only the will to begin the work. The poorest person can be a master craftsman of their soul, while the richest person can live in a cluttered, noisy, and broken inner chamber. The materials are free, and the workshop is always open. The world will continue to shout at you, telling you to buy this, achieve that, and chase the next fleeting pleasure. It will try to sell you more things to stuff into your chamber. The wisdom of Aristotle is a quiet voice, a whisper that invites you to a different kind of life. A life not of having more, but of being more. Let's be clear, this does not mean rejecting the world or its joys. The master violinist does not hate beautiful melodies. In fact, they can appreciate them more deeply than anyone. The person with a well-built soul does not reject success or pleasure. They are simply not dependent on them for their core well-being. They can savor them as gifts without the desperation of need. We have now unpacked the wisdom. We have the blueprint and the tools. We see the flawed path and the better one. Now it is time to bring it all together, to see the final, glorious result of this inner work, to witness the aha moment when the instrument is finally complete and it plays its first true note. And now the synthesis, the moment it all clicks. Imagine the chamber is finally built. It has been fortified by 1,000 acts of courage. It has been polished smooth by 1,000 moments of temperance. It has been balanced by 1,000 choices of fairness. Its shape has been perfected by the slow acquisition of wisdom. It is no longer an empty box. It is a masterpiece of potential energy. It is ready. Now an ordinary life event occurs. Nothing spectacular. The sun rises. A friend smiles at you. You solve a small problem at work. This is a single, simple note played by the world. In the past, this note would have been a dull thud, barely noticed. It was just a Tuesday morning, but now something different happens. The note enters the chamber, and instead of dying, it is caught. It is amplified. It is enriched. The courage-reinforced walls give it strength. The temperance-smooth surfaces give it clarity. The justice-born symmetry gives it harmony. The wisdom-carved patterns give it complexity and beauty. The simple, single note is transformed. What emerges is not the original note. What emerges is music, a deep, rich, resonant chord of well-being, a feeling of profound rightness, a quiet, stable, and deeply satisfying joy. This is the aha moment. Happiness was never the note. It was never the external event. Happiness is the resonance. It is the music your soul, by its very nature, now makes with whatever life gives it. This is it. This is the whole secret. The reason most people never find happiness is because they spend their lives chasing better notes, praying for a symphony. The wise person ignores the notes and spends their life building a better instrument. Because a master's violin can make beautiful music from a simple scale, while the world's greatest symphony sounds like noise on a broken fiddle. Let's restate our central thesis in its most powerful form. You are not a happiness seeker. You are a meaning maker. You are not a consumer of experiences. You are the instrument through which all experience is filtered. Your life is not a quest for a treasure called happiness. Your life is the project of building a soul so well crafted that it turns the pebbles of everyday life into gold. This resonance is a quiet and private victory. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It is the deep, internal hum of a life well lived. It is the feeling of being at home in your own skin, of being deeply aligned with yourself and with the world. It is the end of the chase and the beginning of a truly rich and meaningful existence. The pursuit of happiness was a distraction. It kept you looking in the wrong direction outward. The pursuit of virtue, of character, of excellence is the real path. And the beautiful paradox is that when you stop chasing happiness altogether and instead focus on building a good life, happiness comes and finds you. It shows up not as a goal, but as a companion for the journey. All the scattered pieces now connect. The emptiness we felt was the silence of an unplayed, unbuilt instrument. The trap was trying to fill it with external noise. The pivot was to become a craftsman. The hard work was the daily practice of virtue. And the payoff, the grand synthesis, is a life that doesn't just look for beauty, but creates it from within. This is the profound and liberating truth at the heart of Aristotle's philosophy. Stop chasing the butterflies of pleasure. Start building the garden of your character. The butterflies will come, but you will be so captivated by the beauty of your garden, by the deep satisfaction of the work itself, that you will hardly notice. So we bring this wisdom from the realm of metaphor into the reality of your life right now. This isn't just a beautiful idea. It is a practical guide to a new way of being. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The creation of a masterpiece begins with a single, intentional mark. You don't have to rebuild your entire soul today. You just have to make one choice. The goal is not to leave here with a long to-do list of virtues to master. That would be overwhelming and just another form of external pressure. The goal is to leave with a single, transformative question that you can carry with you, a compass to guide your daily choices as you begin the quiet, steady work of tuning your own instrument. The question is this: what is one small thing I can do today that represents the person I want to become? Not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. Maybe it's facing a small fear you've been avoiding. Maybe it's choosing to listen instead of interrupting. Maybe it's admitting a mistake. Maybe it's simply taking a moment to appreciate something without needing to post about it. That one small choice is a vote for the person you wish to be. It is a single tap of the craftsman's hammer. It seems like nothing, but it is everything. Because that one choice, repeated, becomes a habit. And your habits, over time, become your character. And your character, as we have seen, determines the quality and resonance of your entire life. This shifts your focus from an impossible standard of perfection to a manageable standard of progress. You are not trying to be a courageous person. You are simply trying to make one courageous choice right now. This is how you integrate this grand philosophy into the nitty-gritty of your real life. You make it small. You make it daily. You make it real. So I invite you to ask yourself that question when you wake up tomorrow morning. What is one small way I can work on my instrument today? Let the answer guide your actions. Don't judge the results. Just focus on the integrity of the work. Focus on the choice itself. This is how you move from being a passive seeker of happiness to an active creator of a meaningful life. Your life is no longer a frantic search for pleasure. It becomes a workshop. Your problems are no longer just burdens, they are raw material. Your choices are no longer trivial. They are the most powerful tools you own. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the artist of your own soul. This is the new way of being that this ancient wisdom offers. Forget about finding happiness. Let that idea dissolve. Instead, become fascinated with your own character. Become curious about its rough edges, its weak spots, its hidden strengths. Fall in love with the process of sanding, reinforcing, and tuning. The ultimate creative act is not to paint a canvas or write a song, but to shape a self. Carry this one question with you. Let it be the first thing you think of in the morning and the last thing you reflect on at night. What choice today helped build my instrument? This question will slowly but surely change the entire direction of your life, from an outward chase to an inward journey of profound and lasting worth. This is the beginning of your life as a craftsman. It is a quiet revolution. It won't make headlines, but it will change your world from the inside out. It is the path to a happiness that cannot be shaken, because it is a happiness that you have built with your own hands. Remember the resonant chamber. It is not just a metaphor, it is a map. A map that leads you away from the barren lands of chasing and wanting, and toward the fertile ground of becoming and being. It is the reminder that the quality of your life is determined not by what you get, but by who you choose to be. Your life is not a hunt for happiness. It is the instrument. Your choices are the practice. And a well-lived life, a life of cultivated character, creates its own beautiful, resonant, and undeniable music. That music is the only true happiness there is. The real work begins now with your next choice. Make it a good one. Make it a choice that tunes the instrument. The world doesn't need more successful people. It needs more people of deep character. It needs more master craftsmen of the soul. It needs more beautiful music. Start building. The journey to a flourishing life is the greatest adventure you can undertake. It is the journey inward. It is the path of transforming your very being into a source of strength, meaning, and quiet joy. This wisdom has been waiting for you for over 2,000 years. It is timeless, it is true, and it is yours to live. We hope this exploration helps you on your path.